Welcome back. I hope you're doing well. If you're new here, my name is Satya and I'm a photographer and a filmmaker. This series, Conversation With, is quite close to my heart. It's my attempt at having deeper, meaningful conversations with artists that I admire. Today's episode, we have Nico Froehlich, a photographer based in London, and he captures places and people with what seems like, in my opinion at least, this impossible combination of social realism and poetic beauty. Nico's work has been selected for numerous awards and has been exhibited by a number of organizations, and I'm really grateful that he agreed to be a part of this series. Normally, I film these conversations. Well, I say normally, but I think by now we've realized that there's no specific format for this series. When I started it, I wanted it to be all, sat down, two cameras, talking head style videos. But the very first one, I wasn't able to get to be in the same room as Tatiana, so we made it with the help of Skype and individual recordings. And then with Alice, I was able to sit down in the same room with her. And then with Freya, we just did audio and then some video overlaid. With Nico, he wanted to walk around and chat. So we did that. We met near the Thames in East London, and we walked about for a bit, and then we sat down at one of the park benches in Greenwich Park towards the end. We covered quite a bit of ground, talking about his beginnings, as always, and then diving deeper into his long-term projects, being represented by an agency, unexplored areas in one of his long-form projects, and some of his visions in terms of the project's future, and a lot more in terms of the industry and working as a photographer in it. If you're watching this, there will be images from his work that will be overlaid when we talk about specific projects. So try to turn to the screen for those segments so you get to see what we're talking about. All right, let's get to it. Recording started. Nico, thank you so much for doing this, bro.
No
Appreciate
problem,
it.
man. My pleasure.
How are you?
I'm good. It's warm. It's not cold. We're by the River Thames.
It's a gentle day.
Canary Wharf over there.
Yeah.
We're in South East London, North Greenwich. I feel good. Got a cup of tea, English tea.
Best way to start the morning.
I feel good. Cycled here. That's
nice.
my morning coffee cycling, isn't it?
Nice.
Makes me feel great. So yeah.
That's
good,
sweet.
How are you?
Good. Yeah, good as well. I mean, as you know, we almost didn't do this because I was feeling sick yesterday, but I'm glad I felt better. So usually start this off by talking a bit about your background. So if you can share with us a bit of your background.
Yeah. Photography wise, obviously. So street photography is where it started for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was bit by the street photography bug.
Right.
I was obsessed with it. I didn't want to do anything else, almost to the point where I was quite arrogant about it, where I wasn't interested in any other genre.
Right.
That was just a little bit before 2020. 2020 came along, the pandemic hit. Started to ask myself, what type of photographer do you want to be? Documentary photography increasingly became made more sense to me in terms of engaging with communities, engaging with people. I didn't want to just take candid street photography all the time. I realised that South East London, like I'm from there, I was born, raised there. I have a local perspective of the area.
Right.
I decided I should take ownership of that, and that turned into a project, and it just became more about documentary photography, and that's how my kind of style, if you want to call it that, evolved. And now it's 2025 and still working on a few projects, documentary projects, and yeah, I'm constantly trying to grow, constantly working on stuff because it never stops.
Sweet.
Yeah, is that enough context?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you started with personal projects? You didn't do like you weren't a working photographer, whatever that means. But
Yes, yeah, I
Yeah.
realised, good question. I realised that the personal work
right,
is where the power is. It's your
Right.
currency as a photographer. Having a point of view, I
Yeah.
think, makes you stand out in an industry where it's very hard to stand out.
right,
I think you need to have a strong point of view. And I realised that Southeast London,
yeah,
in a way, especially the way I celebrate it, the way I show it,
yeah,
the people I engage with, the kind of things I take photos of, it's all a point of view,
right,
and it represents what I value. And I
Yeah.
realised that there's a lot of power in that, and I really kind of committed myself to that,
right,
and it kind of now, I suppose it's become like my signature. In terms of style, in terms of who I am, my identity as a photographer. But yeah, no, I realised quite early on that that's where the power is, and that's what can lead to also commercial work. The type of commercial work
right,
I desire anyway, like the type of commercial work that I want to do. You know, if people pay me to shoot in that kind of style, it's like, it's a dream, man, like getting paid
Yeah.
for doing the thing you love, you know?
yeah.
But yeah, I realised that. I realised that's where the power is.
That's a good place
Yeah.
to be. Yeah, it sounds like a really good relationship between your personal work and your commercial work, because you're already passionate about it, and you feel well equipped to do it based on your lived experiences. So you don't feel boxed in terms of, people just want me to shoot this one kind of thing. You're quite happy with the kind of work that comes your way.
Yeah. What do you mean when you say boxed in? You mean not like?
Like people saying, "Oh, we want this, like we want images like this project, or we want images that you did for this project."
Yeah, it does, and it does actually tend to work like that sometimes, because people, like, obviously they look at your projects or they look at the website and they're like, "Oh, we want it like this," and it does make things easier, because obviously, like you say, you're well equipped for that because you've been working on that stuff.
Yeah,
And it's the stuff you love, so obviously it's great when you can actually do that. And like I said before, and you're getting paid for it. It's wonderful, man. But no, it's hard to get to that point. It's about, and then essentially it's about how do you get to that point, and
yeah,
how do you maintain it? Because then it's
Right.
also about maintaining it, man.
yeah. So how did you get to that point? Are you a full-time working photographer now?
I wouldn't say it's full time.
Right.
I also lecture part time.
Okay.
That helps a lot in photography, obviously.
Where do you lecture?
Ravensbourne University,
Okay.
and I've also lectured previously at LCC.
Okay.
They bring me in for certain workshops, like things I'm obviously use my strengths. So obviously
Yeah.
if they want to take the students out and show them how to approach strangers,
Right.
talk about the ethics of that,
Right.
take portraits. They bring me in for those kinds of projects, which is wonderful, man. It's
Yeah.
wonderful to have that on the side as well. I've been trying to improve my business mind. I hate talking about that stuff, but that's how it is. We're all thinking about how we can make more money, right?
Mate, it's getting super expensive.
Yeah, it's not easy living in London. Selling prints, doing
Right.
workshops.
Yeah.
The print, I'm already starting to sell prints, and I'm very, very grateful for that I'm able to do that, by the way.
Yeah.
But people are interested in prints, and it's a great way to make a little bit extra money.
Right.
Workshops is something I've been kind of preparing and planning in the background, and I'm going to start very soon.
Like one-to-one or?
One-to-ones and group workshops, taking people, starting in somewhere like Soho and then taking them, jumping in the deep end in Southeast London.
Yeah.
I think it'll be quite exciting for some people. And people are very interested in that, because it seems to be quite a challenge to go out there and to take portraits, to approach strangers
Yeah.
and to take portraits. Because a lot of photographers are quite introverted. We're all quite introverted, aren't we? So
Yeah.
it's about overcoming those barriers and building the confidence to do that. So there's a lot of interest in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just staying on your toes, like constantly going out there, meeting the movers and the shakers in the industry and trying to land these kind of big campaigns and bigger jobs.
Yeah.
It's a constant challenge, but it's stimulating, isn't it? It's like it's exciting. It's frustrating. It can be frustrating because obviously you don't always win every job.
Right.
But it can also be incredibly exciting and rewarding when you do win a certain job, a big job, and you learn a lot from it, man.
Of course.
A lot.
Are these jobs like where are these like a one-man job, or do you
No,
work with
it's
a
very
crew?
collaborative. It's usually for the advertising stuff. You've got a big team.
Right.
There's a lot to it, you know. Almost think about how they make how you'd make a movie. You know, there's a lot of roles, right?
Of course.
It's very collaborative. So yeah, that's a big part of it. Knowing how to work within a team is essential, especially for that type of work, advertising work.
It's pretty
got
cool.
big puddles here.
We'll make it through. Yeah, let's split. You talked about photographing strangers or asking people for portraits and how it could be difficult.
Sorry, my geezer.
And you've done like large part of your work is that, right? Like going out and talking to people.
Yes.
And you've
It's
been
all
doing
that
it
at the
for, sorry?
It's pretty much all my personal work is that at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for a while now. Does it get easier?
Yes. And no. Like,
Right.
it's always scary.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend it's not. You're always going to be a little bit nervous, but certainly as you start to see more success, you obviously do get more confident and you do get used to it and you do get more perceptive being out on the street.
Right.
And you know how to use, as soon as you find out that you actually have good energy,
Right.
and you know how to kind of utilize that energy in a way that people look at you and you can build a rapport immediately, you just become better at using that, you know, and you can use it to your advantage. I mean, probably that's the wrong word because it sounds like, I hope it doesn't sound predatory or anything like that, but if you know you have certain skills and a certain energy and you know how to use it, then of course you're going to use it to your advantage in order to...
Or do you want to go ahead?
In when you approach people on the street, you know?
Right.
Because it is, when it comes down to it...
Yeah.
Sorry, there's one. Go on, you want to pass?
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries.
Got to be a few runners.
Go up if you want.
Because when you begin to distill it, it's all about your intention and good energy. And it's about showing that, and that's what it comes down to when you approach people on the street.
Right. Right.
In order for them to get them to want to work with you, for them to let you take a portrait of them, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just need to learn how to use that effectively.
Right.
In order to work on the projects you want to work on. For me, it's obviously a lot of it is being out on the street and approaching people, so it's a big part of it.
And what do you normally look for in like a portrait? Like what are you after? Is it based on? Actually, I'll let you answer. What do you look for?
So obviously it depends on the kind of project you're working on. How does it add to the project? How does it add to the concept or the premise of the project? But for me right now, especially with my work in South East London, for example, colour's a big part of it.
Right.
How does it add to the emotional kind of landscape of the project?
Right.
Certain type of lights.
Yeah.
Even though I would say I'm probably starting to walk away of always trying to find a scene with a certain type of light.
Right.
Trying to be more flexible with it, and because for me it's also about creating a naturalistic depiction as well, you know.
Right. Right.
Color, lights, the type of people you approach. It's all about how you add to the narrative.
Yeah.
And the vision of the project.
Yeah.
So yeah, it very much depends on the project you're working on.
Right. Because I mean that's one thing that I noticed right away is like, especially like the projects you're working on in Southeast London, on how beautiful and colorful they are. Because usually, like when you think of London, you're like, it's grey. And
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the
to
stereotype,
to
innit?
some extent,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. But there's also all these beautiful ways in which you can see things, and that always struck me as like a standout thing in how um, you photograph people and London in general. So was that a conscious choice at the beginning, or you were just drawn to the light and the colors that you were talking about?
No, I think it was. I'm aware of that. Like, obviously, I value. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of things that people overlook. You know, there's a lot of beauty out there that people overlook, and obviously, especially with Southeast London, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm aware of that, and it's about representing that in my work as well. You know, like and it all comes down. It all comes down to how I was brought up, and I always talk about my mum when I talk about this project, because
Right.
when I think of my mum, I think about colour. I think about a lot of vibrant colours. I think because we were known, I've mentioned this a few times, but growing up, we were known as the house with the funky curtains, very brightly coloured, eccentric curtains. And I find that as an adult, I go looking for that kind of stuff. You know, it's all related, man.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm rediscovering elements of my childhood that as a child I ignored and disregarded, but now as an adult
Yeah.
I very much celebrate, you know?
Right. Right.
So it's all part of it, but no, I am aware that there are things that tend to be overlooked by a lot of people that is actually, when you look at it and really spend time looking at it, you discover that it's actually very beautiful and meaningful, and yeah, I'm aware of that, you know. It's not, I don't just look for colour or just good light, you know.
Right.
I'm aware of that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what was the first personal project you started?
So the Southeast London stuff,
Okay.
south of the river,
Okay.
which is
Still ongoing.
still ongoing.
Yeah.
I never really wanted to put an end date to it for a long time, but I think
Right.
I've started to think about maybe finishing it at the end of the decade, because I started it in 2020.
Okay.
So 10 years is a good length of time,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of, especially this decade. How much has all the things that have happened this decade, with the pandemic at the beginning and everything else that's gone on since.
True.
It's becoming quite a defining decade.
Yeah.
And then we've got another 5 years, man. So let's see what happens over the next 5 years. Hopefully, good things.
Yeah.
Hopefully, some. No worries. Hopefully, some good stuff for humanity, and here in
Hopefully,
Britain. But yeah, no, I think 10 years. It's not concrete yet, but I feel like
It's a good number to work towards.
Yeah, 10 years is a good number, especially for a personal project like that.
Yeah. Do you feel like there are avenues that you haven't explored?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So like we've mentioned, most of the work is on the street.
Yeah.
A few portraits, moments have been in more intimate settings, like in people's homes.
Yeah.
But I want to do more of that.
Okay.
I want to start going more down that route of capturing intimate portraits and documenting intimate moments within people's actual living environments, you know?
Right. Right.
I want more of that.
That'd be pretty cool.
I think so, yeah. There's still a lot to work on, man.
Do you have any other projects ongoing?
Another one in Southeast London called All That Remains.
All That Remains, yeah.
Is a focus on the youth on this estate that's gradually
yes.
being
Yes.
gradually being, well, a lot of it's already been demolished,
Right.
but it's gradually going, because it's where it's at. It's in Zone 1. It's obviously it's prime real estate, isn't it? So things are changing very fast there, a bit like Elephant and Castle.
Right.
But when I go there, I'm reminded again. It's like being reminded of my past, because when I grew up,
Yeah.
there was a lot of youngsters all playing out in the street, and we had this park adjacent to where I was living,
Uh-huh.
and that no one was really using, and it was our space. And
Right.
when I look back, I kind of value that was so important for young minds, you know, for us to interact, grow, mess about,
Yeah.
to grow.
Yeah.
And I see that when I go to an estate like the Aylesbury estate, which is the estate I'm working on for this project.
Right.
I see that the youngsters have these spaces,
Right.
and you still see that. And it's nice to see, because whenever you go to other places in London, you never really see youngsters playing in the street anymore.
No.
But you go to somewhere
rare
like
sight.
you go to somewhere like that estate, and you see them, and they have these kind of huge spaces, and you can see the joy they have in these spaces. And I think it's important to document that, especially the joy, because usually you think of these estates and people think, oh, it's all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there's no hardships in these spaces, because of course it's hard, especially when your future is uncertain. You don't know where you're going to go once the estate is gone.
Yeah.
For a lot of these families and a lot of these people, but there's a lot of joy that can be found in these spaces, and I think it's important to showcase that, for it to be the focus.
Yeah. Is that already in motion? Like, are they? Do they know how long they've got in there, or is it just
Some of
slowly
them,
happening?
not necessarily. It's a precarious thing, really. It's like I've spoke to people there where they've suddenly been warned, oh, you've got a few days now to pack up your things.
Wow.
It can be very hard. Yeah, there was this one young mum who I was literally helping take the furniture out of her flat.
Right.
And you can see it, man. And some of them get uprooted and taken out of the city. It's heartbreaking, man. But not all of them.
Right.
Like, I should give it some balance. Some of them stay within the area.
Okay.
They're given other forms of accommodation within the area.
Right.
But it's...
Is that gonna be like now a multi? I don't know, like big block of flats, or?
Yeah.
Right.
So usually they promise, don't they, these real estate companies, when they regenerate and rebuild, they usually promise that there's going to be also some social housing.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be all about profit. Like
Right.
There'll be an uproar. I mean, there's an uproar anyway, because usually they don't provide enough social housing.
Yeah.
But there is a percentage, and hopefully in time that increases, because it needs to be about fairness. You know, you can't just uproot people and bring in only people that can afford to live in those areas. You know, once it's been regenerated, it's not fair.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. Yeah. And you shoot a lot of these projects, or all of these personal projects, on film?
Yes,
Yeah.
mostly. It's just the way I work now, especially for the personal work.
Right.
Because for a lot of commercial work, obviously you have to use digital systems just to reassure whoever's involved, you know. So
Right.
I think it makes it that bit more special, and it's also what you become accustomed to, you know. And the look of it, you value the look of film and what you can get with the colours and the lights.
Yeah.
It just makes it that, for me anyway, it just makes it that little bit more special, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want it to be that little bit more special because it's your personal work, isn't it?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Do you see yourself moving over to digital for your personal work for any reason, or you're happy with what it is?
If
now?
it becomes way too expensive, then I'm gonna have to. But oh man, I don't want to think about it, because I love working. I love working with film, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
To the point where I'd probably be willing to drain my pockets
Right.
and live being relatively poor in order to maintain. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not being honest, but it's annoying, because if it does become way too expensive,
Might be time to say
I might
goodbye.
have to say goodbye, which is upsetting, man. But no, I love it. For the time being, it is expensive right now, but hopefully it doesn't get any more expensive, man.
That's
I mean,
the
you know
whole-
all about it. You shoot.
I
film.
do. Yeah. It is it's creeping up every year. I usually just buy my film in the States anything Kodak, just buy it in the States. It's a lot cheaper.
You usually buy it from the States.
Yeah, I mean, because I have family there, so we
Okay.
go there once a year or once every other year, and I buy
It's a lot cheaper.
loads of them, and I just bring them back or put them in the freezer. That's worked so far.
Kodak Gold is where it's at the moment. I think I haven't shot any yet, but I've been buying some packs because, especially just before Christmas, they were selling it for like 30 quid. A pack of 5.
Yep.
I mean, compare that to getting Portra 400 or 800. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Portra 800 is like more than 100 quid now, isn't it, for a pack of 5?
I've even stopped looking now. It's
yeah, it's crazy. Sorry.
Yeah, I buy gold for color.
You as well?
Yeah.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
It's just cheaper, and I don't have to.
And the quality's still very good, isn't it?
It's really good. I've never shot it, like I've never pushed it. I might have to. This 200 is a little bit tight, especially when I'm inside. There's not a lot of light, but yeah. So south of the river, and
all that remains.
All that remains.
I also work on a project that I've neglected a lot recently because of those 2 projects I've just spoke about.
Tell me it's the one on like the
Bakerloo.
Paddington Bakerloo line.
Bakerloo.
Yeah, Bakerloo line. Yeah.
Because that started off during a time when I was doing the candid street photography stuff.
Right.
And even though my kind of ethical compass has developed and changed,
Yeah.
I think it's still important to kind of keep that approach just for that project.
Right.
Because it's the challenge of it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I go back to it. Like recently I went back to it and I was like, God, it's quite difficult doing this candid stuff, man. Especially when you're stuck on those train carriages and everything is like, you're all crammed into those carriages, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And even like now, more so than earlier, like in the 2020 or whatever, whenever you started it, like people are more so inclined to be looking down at their phones.
Yes, yeah.
And you need to pick the right time. Peak hours are no. Like you can barely breathe.
Patient.
Yeah.
But I'm also more flexible now if I need to approach someone and ask for their permission.
Right.
Because a moment is so strong and beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
I will do that. As opposed to before when I started the project, I would not do that. I would be against it, you know.
Right.
So yeah,
that's cool. Have you started making work for it again already, or you're?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been going back on the Bakerloo.
Awesome.
And I've realised I have to be very patient on there because I don't want to just walk, because also it's either that or you're walking around like a hunter, you know. You're walking from carriage to carriage, and I don't want to scare anyone, you know. It can look quite menacing. I mean, I feel like I give off a good energy, but sometimes when you're standing there with your camera, looking around, and you're on the carriage, like it might alarm someone, and I don't want to scare anyone, you know.
But the film camera might provide some respite. People might be like, what's that?
Yeah, maybe people are more curious than they are fearful. Hopefully.
Oh, sick.
I just got a smile.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. Do you have, like, when you start working on projects, or as you move through them, do you think about its final form?
Yeah, you're always thinking about what, in terms of exhibition, book, that kind of thing.
Whatever it is, or like what would work for this project, or what you want the project to be.
Of course. For example, with the project on South East London, south of the river, I've made connections with a few artists in South East London over the last few years. I speak to other photographers who also document South East London. I had this grand dream of one day potentially being a curator on this large exhibition of South East London. I think it could be really special.
That'd be nice.
Because you get some wonderful work away from photography, you know, other mediums. Oil painting and sculpture. You get people that really document South East London beautifully.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you can bring that all together, I mean, it's ambitious because obviously you're going to need a lot of funding, especially the way I envision it.
Right.
But I feel like further down the line there could be something there, man. And I would love to do something that can also be accessible not just by people in the art world, you know.
Right.
So I'd have to think about that as well, because the type of work I do, it's about capturing everyday people. So it needs to be accessible by those types of people as well. But I'm constantly I have visions and I'm thinking about those visions, you know.
Yeah.
It's not just exhibition and book.
Right. So you mentioned other Southeast London artists
Yeah.
that make work, and so do you have any names that like? So I only know you.
There's a girl. Let me get her Instagram up. I think she's from Thamesmead.
Ah.
I'll find it. It might take a little bit of time. I don't want to. Let me find it later and I'll show
Sure.
you. But
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
one
yeah.
particular artist and the way she documents Southeast London.
Yeah.
It's just real and it's raw, and you can see that she loves. She grew up in the area, and she
Right.
her love was on full display, man, and it's very heartwarming, and
Okay.
it's the kind of stuff I'm looking for, because at the end of the day, this project I'm working on is a celebration of the area, isn't it? So
Of course. Yeah.
it's also about finding other people that celebrate the area
Yeah. No.
as it changes.
I'm looking forward to seeing her work as well. Like, we'll put it in the description so you guys can check it out. You're represented by the AMP, right? AMP?
Yes.
The agency. How
Yeah.
how did that come about?
They approached me at the end of 2022, I believe.
Okay.
I think they noticed the work I was doing in South East London.
Yeah.
Oh, this is nice. Oh, yeah? There you go, nice little moments like that. Yeah, I think they noticed that. And because they're very much about showing work like that, it's about,
Right.
that's humane, that's showcasing communities.
Mm.
You know, they care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they approached me, and I got talking to them,
Yeah.
and the energy and the vibe just felt right. So I thought, you know what, let me try this out, because I haven't had any type of agency representation before that.
Yeah.
So I thought, let me try it. Oh, there's a guy with a film camera.
Sweet.
A little 6x6. Yeah, I thought, let me try this out.
Yeah.
And it's gone well. There are two main ladies who run it,
Yeah.
and they work their asses off.
Right.
Getting all the photographers they represent out there, showcasing their work. You have to, man. Like in that industry, you have to constantly be working your ass off.
I bet.
But they're so hard working, and they're so on it, and they're passionate, and it has an effect on, you know, that it kind of, the passion I have and the passion they have. It's like we have an effect on each other in that way, and it works well, man. And it's fortunately it's gone really well so far with the agency.
That's really good to hear.
Because it doesn't always work out like that, you know. It can also be a risk.
Yeah.
It depends on the agency, and it depends on the type of work you're doing and stuff like that. You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's sick. Like the commercial work you get, are they usually through the agency, or do companies reach out to you?
You don't always know, to be fair, but yeah, I mean, usually it should be attributed to the agency, because they're constantly promoting your work and getting it out there. But no, when people approach you or send you emails,
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to know. But obviously, if an email goes straight to them first,
Of course.
then
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
probably from the relationships they've built up, because they're constantly having meetings with ad agencies and creative agencies.
Of course. Of course.
So I think, is this essentially getting to the question? Is it worth having an agent? Is that what you? Or are you just wondering what it's like?
No, I mean I can definitely see the benefits. It's more like, what is it like, and also like for photographers that might want to be represented by agents one day. Do you have any?
I think if you're
advice?
approached by an agency,
Yeah.
and it feels right, and the kind of work they show and the kind of photographers they have in their roster,
Yeah.
all kind of aligns with what you care about as a photographer, then of course you should give it a go.
Right.
Because it can potentially land to some big jobs, you know,
Right. Right.
and really elevate your career as a photographer. So yeah, you should definitely give it a go if it comes your way, for sure. I think what I wasn't doing before that was I wasn't proactive enough. I should have been talking to more agencies.
Right.
So I think I've been quite fortunate where AMP came to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back, I should have definitely been more proactive.
reached
And
out to...
I think all photographers, we can all be a little bit more proactive, right? And just
So reach out to agencies.
reach out to agencies,
Right.
talk to the movers and the shakers in the industry, not just agencies, you know, editors, producers, art buyers. Get out there, go to private viewings, exhibitions,
Right.
mingle, network.
Yeah,
You know, I've come to realise how powerful it is to network, man.
yeah,
Such a powerful thing. Something I used to, again, is just completely ignore or maybe just hide away from because I wasn't really good at it. But again, all this stuff where I approach people in the street for my personal work, that
Yeah.
complements even things like going out to speak to people in the industry because now I know how to approach people and
right,
with good energy,
right,
make people feel comfortable.
yeah,
You know, it's not awkward.
yeah,
It all helps because if you can go out there and network, man, that's a huge advantage
yeah.
as a photographer.
That's good advice. Like, this might be a stupid question, but like, when you say go out and meet the movers and shakers, and you gave some examples
Yeah.
like editors, producers, and other artists and exhibitions, like, where do you find these things? Is it all like Instagram, or is there a
No, it'd be
event
better.
website, or?
God, I thought someone was falling then. Obviously, online is one place, but you're more memorable when you meet people in person. So, like I
Yeah.
said, private viewings, talks. There's always
Yeah.
talks going on, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Is
let's
that too
pause
much?
for a
Yeah.
sec. Someone doing something.
Cleaning.
Is that a leaf blower or a vacuum?
We're close to Greenwich Park now, anyway. So.
Hey.
You know this pub, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful pub.
Trafalgar Tavern.
Yeah.
Leaf blower indeed. Yeah, I made like a short video of like a short film, I guess, like of London and just a beauty in the blue hour.
I think I've seen something.
This was in it.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
It's got the right facade for it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The orange.
It's beautiful.
So,
Okay.
private viewings, talks. There's
Yeah.
always talks going on, isn't there? You know, people from the industry.
Yeah.
There's always something going on. Portfolio reviews.
Right.
There's
right.
ways, like, also just reaching out.
Right.
I've come to learn that a lot of these people in the industry,
Yeah.
they like it when people reach out to them, especially in unique little ways, like if you send them like a print or something via post that makes it, I don't know, something a little bit extra that makes it unique.
Make
You know,
it
reach out to people,
personal.
be like, it'd be great if we could just meet for a cup of coffee. You know, I'd love to
Yeah.
learn a bit more about the industry. Don't shy
Yeah.
away from that stuff, man. I know we all do, because we don't want to take. We're too polite. We don't want to take up people's time because we think everyone's ultra busy, and they are. But
Right. Yeah.
it's a large part of how the industry works. It's about
Yeah.
meeting these people and
Yeah.
making those connections.
Yeah.
So yeah, real life stuff, man, especially as everything becomes more digital and online. Reach out to people in real life
Right.
and just go for it. Be confident.
Oh, it's great advice.
Um,
Like, 'cause I found, like you said, these are like general fears what people think.
Yeah,
They're busy. They're probably not going to respond.
we're too polite, aren't we?
But then I'm always surprised by how generous people are.
Yes, they know how difficult it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, as photographers, you know, there's a difference. It's not arrogant to kind of be like, this is what I'm doing. This is my work. I've got things I need to say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to apologize for that, you know. Like people need to see my work.
Right.
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 It's not arrogant to say that, and I think it being like that, having an attitude like that, will take you even further as well. I believe. Not
True.
apologizing for who you are, what you stand for, and the kind of things you need to say through your work. You know,
Yeah, it's one of those things.
being like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's hard as well because we are all ultra polite and respectful and introverted. It's difficult, but you just got to push yourself, haven't you? It's like anything.
Good advice.
I hope so. It's what I've learned.
Yeah. No, even doing this podcast, series, whatever you want to call it, like that's what I've found is that people that my initial sort of impulsive reaction, or what I said to myself is, they're not gonna want to talk to you. They're busy. They have shit to do, you know. But nobody said no yet.
Exactly.
Which
so
is
you've learned that
ridiculous.
yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go, man. People, they know how difficult it is, and they want to be accommodating as much as they can, you know.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it's a large part of the industry, going out there and meeting people, making those connections. So when you learn that it's actually part of the process, part of the industry, it probably makes you less hesitant to reach out to people, and less inclined to think, oh, I'm wasting their time, or like they're too busy for me. It's because it's a part of it. It's part of the process, man.
They've been where you are.
Yeah, they know
how it's
they know
like.
it's difficult.
Yeah. True, and yeah, I can vouch for that as well. Wanted to ask a bit about inspirations for you, like outside of photography, and what they are.
I'm going to try not to sound too cheesy, but for me, it's like you have to be open to the world. Like, inspiration's everywhere. Like last night, I was listening to this new music album from Sam Fender.
Okay.
He's this guy from Northern England. I think it's North Shields. I think it's the town that's close to Newcastle. And he's created this album. It's his third album,
Right.
and it's all about the place he's from,
Yeah.
and working class life up there in Northern England.
Yeah.
And I was listening to some of these songs, and I was like, wow, man, like this is real, and this is beautiful, and it's tender.
Yeah.
And I don't usually listen to that genre of music,
Yeah.
but you have to be open to things you might not necessarily find inspiration in, you know, like, and it's, he's a great example, but again, it's just sometimes walking out on the street, meeting people, you can find unexpected bursts of inspiration, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, movies and everything like that, art.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think you have to be open to the world, because you can find inspiration in the most unexpected places, man.
Right. Be open.
And it's about being curious and open, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, inspiration's all around us, and I know that sounds cheesy and cliche, but it's true.
I agree.
In the great circle of life.
I feel like I'm not as good with being open. Like sometimes I just stick to the things that I know, and whatever comes in that lane,
with.
I then, look at it. But I think that's another like valid and valuable thing, is that it is important to be open, especially as people that want to draw from and share what you see to others, and that vulnerability would help in the long run, for sure. Okay, is there a recent photography book that you you came across and enjoyed?
Yes. Adam Ferguson is a photographer I recently discovered because of a book he just published with Gost,
Right.
called Big Sky.
Yeah.
And it's a documentation of the Australian outback, and it's funny, we spoke about 10 years is a good time for project work, but he spent 10 years on this project.
Wow.
And it really shows, man, like the time, the changes through those years,
Right.
how he build connections with people in certain communities in the outback, and build relationships with, and some of the portraiture work is incredible, man. So I highly recommend that to anyone that hasn't seen it.
Big Sky.
Big Sky by Adam Ferguson.
Cool.
Some of his work, I think, was even up in the Taylor Wesson.
Wow.
That was just up in London. But yeah, Gost Books.
Yeah.
Adam Ferguson, Big Sky, incredible work.
Cool.
Incredible.
Put it in the description as well. We already talked quite a bit about your personal projects. For people that want to do personal projects, starting to get into it, or have an idea and don't know how to start, or what kind of advice would you give?
Okay, so I mentioned already the importance of having a point of view.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned identity.
Yeah.
So I think finding the things, like for example, when I look at photographers' work,
Yeah.
I want to get to know the photographer. I want to know what they value,
Right.
what they desire, what makes them tick.
Yeah.
So I think in order to keep it real, you need to base it on your own personal lived experiences. I think if you can find a way to channel your own experiences and your own perspective and make photographic work out of that, you're onto something. Easier said than done.
Right.
Because some people generally believe that their lives there's not much going on with their lives, or their lives are boring.
Right.
You know, compared to, for example, someone that lives in London.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear that quite a lot, like, oh, there's nothing going on in where I live or with my life. But you'd be surprised, man. Like, the things that make us unique as individuals is our own set of personal experiences. Nobody shares the same set of personal experiences.
Right.
And I think if you can find a way to channel that kind of stuff and make work,
Yeah.
not only is it powerful because you're providing a perspective and a point of view, but it's real because it's based on real lived experiences.
Right.
So I think, that's kind of a long way of saying that you need to create work that's personal to you.
Right. Right.
Personal to you.
Yeah.
I hope that made sense. Did that make sense?
Yeah. Draw from your own experiences, think about what it means to you, and bring yourself to the project.
Yeah. Because nice pictures are nice, and I've got nothing against just nice pictures. But for me, I want to get to know a photographer.
Right.
That's what keeps me looking at someone's work. I start to get to know you. And you don't have to spoon feed everything. In fact, it's probably the wrong way to go about things.
Right.
Sometimes you can be a little bit allegorical or poetic or whatever, or a little bit mysterious.
Yeah,
and it can be powerful to be mysterious. But I want to get to know a photographer. It's not the same for everyone.
Yeah.
But from people I've spoken to as well in the industry,
Right.
they want to get to know a photographer. They want to see a point of view. I keep mentioning that because I think it's powerful, having a point of view.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it needs to be real. That's why I talk about your own personal experiences.
Yeah. No, that's solid advice.
I hope so.
No, 100%. And in terms of like, because your personal projects are all self-funded, right? Did I?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
With like, do you have any thoughts on potential funding for projects and how to go about it?
There's ways of getting funding.
Yeah.
Some people are very good at it. I need to learn more. I'm not proactive enough.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate to win a couple of competitions, which includes a little bit of money, which obviously helps because you can contribute that to your to continue in your personal work.
Yeah,
because it is a big expense.
Portrait of Britain, or
you don't win any. The exposure is great, but it's the portrait lens culture portrait prize.
Lens culture, okay.
Bit of money from that and a couple of other competitions.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to win. Not just fortunate enough. I worked hard for it.
Right, of course. Yeah,
I always keep telling myself, stop saying you're lucky or you're fortunate. Obviously, that's a part of it.
It's definitely a part of it, yeah. But
we work hard for this
you
stuff.
have to be there for it to happen. Like
you put yourself out there. Give yourself some credit.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously that helps.
Yeah.
But there are ways of not necessarily winning, but gaining some funding or being awarded some funding. There's a lot of ways, I believe, from what I've read, and I need to learn more about it and certainly be more proactive.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I guess like one of the things you mentioned could help as well, which is putting yourself out there and networking and meeting people.
Absolutely.
And going to all these different events that are around art and photography, where you'll meet people that, like, you never know. That's another thing that I've come to realize, is that you never know who's seeing or watching your work, and it's just a matter of, finding that person. But you'll never do that if you don't put yourself out there. But yeah, like, I think, like, you were talking about Alice's episode, and we talked a bit about funding there, and she was talking about how hard it is, but
to gain funding.
Yeah.
Some people are very good at it.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to talk about the prizes or the competitions, have they helped, apart from some of them being financially rewarding that you can use to do personal work, have they also helped in maybe exposure would be a stupid question, because yeah, I mean, your work is getting shared by these companies, but did commercial work come your way because of this?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Large platforms like Lens Culture, a lot of people are looking at that stuff, you know.
Right.
No, I believe so, and it's also away from exposure. It's about credibility.
Right.
If you can say
Right.
you're an award-winning photographer, it gives you credibility, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I
And-
guess it also depends on the kind of award.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. Because yeah,
in this day and age,
it's debatable, isn't it?
yeah. But like to your point about Lens Culture being a big platform, like platforms like that have been known to celebrate good work, that is a big thing.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
And-
Sorry, continue.
No, I think. No, you're right. In terms of when I used the word credibility, and you said it depends on the award. You're right. It's debatable, and it does depend on what. Because not every award. There's so many. It's overwhelming, isn't it? There's so many awards out there, and the type of things that end up winning. It's as an artist, you do question certain things, but
Yeah.
when you do, it's just the type of world we live in. When you're winning awards or you get featured in certain publications, there is this kind of level of credibility that kind of gives you more. With certain people or certain figures in the industry, it just makes you seem more legitimate, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's kind of shallow, but it's just how it kind of works in certain
Yeah.
part of the process, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
If I'm to be real about that, like.
So I mean, there is some value in participating in these competitions, especially like maybe do your research and read about whoever's organizing the competition, how long have they been around, what are they about, and if it's if it sounds more credible, then try to be a part of it. And yeah, is that fair to say?
I think so, yeah, because it's like there are.
Because I get emails every now and then that's like, join our competition. You'll get
a lot of
whatever
it is
such
money
and such.
making schemes.
Yeah, which I think like it can be sometimes predatory as well. Like, 'cause it's one of those industries where it's so hard to make it, from what I've come to learn. Like to make it into as a full-time photographer, like so many things have to go your way, and people promise you the world and beyond if you just pay them a little bit and join their whatever competition or whatever. But then there's these other ones like Taylor Westing or whatever. I mean, even though some of them do want you to pay for more than a certain amount of photos, they have been around for a long time, and they do put your work out there, and there is something that comes out of it. Like, it's not just a one-way street where you're just paying money.
No, some of them genuinely try to build community as well.
You said it better. Yes.
It's about building community.
Yes.
Like, for example, Lens Culture might get in touch a year later because they want to put your work in an exhibition, or
Right.
they want to showcase your work again on their channels, and
Right.
you can see when it's a genuine case of an organisation trying to build community,
Right.
And that goes a long way, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
But let's also be honest, as artists, as photographers, we're all trying to get extra work.
Yeah, of course.
We're trying to land a big job.
Yeah.
And as shallow as it is, if you can say you've won a couple of awards or you've been featured on a couple of publications,
Yeah.
it does help.
Yeah.
It does help in terms, that's why I talk about credibility.
Right.
It's not everything, of course.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, people will look at your work and they can make their own judgments, and they'll see for themselves.
Right.
Like how much time, how much heart you're putting in, how much love you're putting into the work, how much you really care about the career and about your photography and about actually building a community.
Yeah.
But having that kind of shallow stuff helps as well.
It's just one of the many things.
Yeah, it's just
fair.
It helps.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be real about it,
That's fair. And in terms of like, obviously you've been doing it for a while now, for quite a few years. How would you say you've evolved as a photographer?
Well, I mentioned about how I kind of transitioned from just the candid street photography to more the documentary stuff that values communities,
Yeah.
values representing positivity, authentic things.
Yeah.
My ethical compass has definitely developed. Maybe I'm more of a conscientious photographer. How I am with people, how I engage with people. I've come to learn how you are with people is the most powerful thing, man. Learning those skills away from the camera, I think goes a long, long way. And I think we need to focus on that more than what we can do with our camera, because we can learn how to use a camera quite quickly, right?
Right.
But that stuff of like the skills you learn of how to engage with people, how to approach people, I would say it's harder, and it takes more time to kind of develop to do it effectively and confidently, you know?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So I would focus on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to how I've evolved. I'm more conscientious. I'm better with people. Maybe I know myself better. It's hard to know sometimes how you've evolved.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I'm more of aware of myself and aware of others, which is important, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And like,
I hope that answers it.
How do you think that manifests itself in your day to day? Like, as a photographer, you don't have to talk about personal stuff, but like, or you can if you want.
Well, knowing that there's power in your perspective, there's power in your voice. Like I said before about sometimes it's important also to be unapologetic and be like, I'm here, I've got something to say.
Right.
I think being able to carry yourself like that is helpful and powerful in the industry.
Yeah.
Letting people know that you're here and you're not going anywhere. But also constantly finding ways to give back. I haven't mentioned this yet during our time together today, but I'm constantly, certainly with my project on the estate, All That Remains, I'm constantly developing ways of, so there's elements now of social engagement. Like I'm working with this youngster on the estate. I've begun this kind of mentorship program. So it's finding ways to also give back. Like I learned that there's this whole thing called social engagement practices.
Right.
And there's a whole world there, working with communities and involving communities in those personal projects as well.
Right.
It's something that's I'm starting to focus more on, and there's evolution there as well. Yeah, I think it's finding ways also, because it's not always about, especially if you find some success.
Yeah.
You should also find ways to give back, especially if you're working with communities. And sometimes some of these communities are quite disadvantaged in the way they live.
Right.
So I think it's important to give back as well, find ways to give back.
Yeah. And this mentorship program you talked about with the youth in, like, that's part of the All That Remains project, is that like a photography mentorship or much more of a wholesome?
So there's a guy, last summer I spent a bit of time with this one particular group on the estate.
Okay.
And there's the oldest guy called Abdul. I noticed how nurturing and how giving he was with some of the other youngsters who look up to him. And I thought it'd be really important to provide him a 35mm camera if I can.
Right.
And I have a couple at the moment at my disposal from experimenting before that never get used.
Yeah.
So if I give him the camera, teach him some of the skills, 35mm photography, talk to him about the importance of documenting that, especially that estate, because it's such a historical place and a lot of these youngsters don't realise it.
Right.
Especially when you're young, you don't realise, like when I was young, I didn't realise how Southeast London, how beautiful the place is.
Yeah.
But anyway, so encouraging him to like realise what he has around him and to document his family, his friends, the environment, and to make him realise that it's also about for him taking ownership of his perspective. Right. Again, there's a lot of power in that. Yeah. And it's I think it's also a way for me to give agency and power to someone in that community. Because
Right.
even though I'm from Southeast London, I'm not from that estate.
Right.
I'm someone walking in essentially as an outsider.
Yeah.
And even though I'm depicting the community in a positive way, I think it's important also to try and carve or figure out little ways to also give people agency.
Yeah.
And show them that they can take ownership of their perspective in this place as well. So it's about him building an archive, and that's what I want, that's the goal.
Yeah. That's great.
And to eventually give him a platform
Yeah.
through my success.
Yes.
If there's more success, you know, hopefully
Yeah.
it provides him a platform as well to showcase what he's
Yeah.
carved out for himself there, you know.
That's great. Can we see, like, has he taken photos yet? Can we see some
Yes,
some of
but
that stuff?
there will be. I will be showcasing some of that stuff later on.
Okay. It's not available at the moment.
I'm actually
anywhere.
thinking about starting my MA
Okay.
in photography.
Wow,
Again, I
okay.
haven't mentioned
All
that.
right.
And because I kind of started thinking about all this social engagement stuff. Because
Yeah.
when you do an MA, you need to think about there needs to be like you can't just walk in without any ideas or any plans. So for like a final major project or whatever. And I think this kind of community stuff, this social engagement stuff kind of fits quite nicely with an MA, especially an MA in photojournalism and documentary photography. And it's a way for me to really develop and refine this practice.
Right.
So I'll start to showcase more of that stuff, I think, if I do the MA.
Yeah. Well, you haven't decided yet?
If I'm doing the MA?
Yeah.
I'm very close to, I'm about to apply, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I haven't, it's not 100% yet, but I think I will. Because it makes
Sweet.
sense for me at the moment where I'm at there in terms of this social engagement type of stuff.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
That's interesting. That's pretty, yeah.
I
I appreciate that, the fact that you've done work for a while now and you've found some success.
Relative
success, and you've
some recognition.
And you've realized that some like MA could help with what you're doing with this particular project, and also for you as a photographer in general. And that's, I guess it goes back to what you were talking about, being open and curious.
Finding
about
ways,
things around you.
Finding ways to evolve.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. One last question. I ask this with everyone. Well, what does success mean to you?
Okay. If finding the time and the resources to work on the projects you care about, literally, if you can manage to create the time and harness the resources, I think, for me, that's success.
Yeah.
Like if I've got free time to work on my personal work as a photographer, I'm a happy guy. I usually say this, sometimes I just want to be out there constantly on my bicycle, camera in bag, just working on my personal work. I'm a happy guy. For me, if you've got the time to do that kind of stuff, to work on the things you care about, that's success for me. Because it's hard to carve out the time to do that,
Yeah.
Living in a city like London,
bro,
constantly trying to find ways to to make ends meet. It's not easy, is it? So if you've got time to work on the stuff you care about, your passion projects,
that's the dream, bro. Yeah, no, 100%. That's nice and simple, but makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't have any other questions. Do you have anything to share, or are you good?
What do you think success is, man? Would you agree?
It's very close to. I mean, I guess it's not. I don't think it's for me to agree, but it's very close to what you said. Like, I mean, I have a full-time job now, and I do photography, and I have a 2-year-old, so time is a valuable resource for me, and so for me, my wife and I talk about this often. It's not that I want $1 million jobs. It's not that that's not the goal. The goal is I have enough time to do my photography work, and if I can support my family while doing that, that's success. And I said, like, I think the question came up because, do you know Vincent Perry Jr.? Maybe
No, who's
I'll send you
yeah.
his link. He's a photographer based in Seattle. He visits London often, and we got connected through Instagram 4 or 5 years ago, and he put out a video then, and one of the questions he asked was, what does success mean to you? And that's something that stuck with me, and I thought about it a lot at the time, and it hasn't really changed, because I mean, like, my priorities are with my family, and I would love to be a full-time photographer, but it doesn't have to be a specific thing. As long as I can do photography and I can support my family, like you said, I'm a happy guy.
Happy days, yeah.
I don't. Yeah. It doesn't get any better than that, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So yeah, that's
Keeping your family happy.
yeah.
Also finding a time,
Yeah.
considering you have a family, to create.
Yeah. Because with a full-time job, it's next to impossible. I mean, I can find, like, today is like one of those days that, you know, I'm grateful for. Like, we get to have a chat, and I'm going to do some more photography after this, but it doesn't happen often. So yeah, this is success too.
We tend to overlook that, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, we have the time to do that, and it's a wonderful thing, man.
Yeah.
That's success, man.
100%. Yeah.
It's not always about richness, like financial richness, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously that helps, but
I mean, I'm not going to say no to money, but that's the goal is not more and more money. It's more time to do things that I enjoy doing while I can support my family. But yeah.
that's what it comes down to, man.
Yeah. Hopefully one day I'll get there. But yeah, no, thank you so much for doing this, bro. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. But yeah, we'll obviously put your Instagram and all that in the description. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course, pleasure. All right, I think we're good. That's it for the conversation with Nico. I hope it was useful. As always, you'll find Nico's works linked in the description below. Again, please feel free to share it with your community. And my hope with this whole series is that me, you, and anybody else that watches it and listens to it gets some value from it, and the more it gets shared, the more chances it has in making that happen. So truly appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.